The spirit without moving is swifter than the mind. The senses cannot reach him. He is ever beyond them. Standing still, he overtakes those who run. To the ocean of his being, the spirit of life leads the streams of action. He moves and he moves not. He is far and he is near. He is within all and he is outside all. Who sees all beings in his own self, and his own self in all beings, loses all fear. When a sage sees this great unity, and his self has become all beings, what delusion and what sorrow can ever be near him? The spirit filled all with his radiance. He is incorporeal and invulnerable, pure and untouched by evil. He is the supreme seer and thinker, immanent and transcendent. He placed all things in the path of eternity. Into deep darkness fall those who follow action. Into deeper darkness fall those who follow knowledge. One is the outcome of knowledge, and another is the outcome of action. Thus we have heard from the ancient sages who explained this truth to us. He who knows both knowledge and action, with action overcomes death, and with knowledge reaches immortality. Into deep darkness fall those who follow the immanent. Into deeper darkness fall those who follow the transcendent. One is the outcome of the transcendent, and another is the outcome of the immanent. Thus have we heard from the ancient sages who explained this truth to us. He who knows both the transcendent and the immanent, with the immanent overcomes death, and with the transcendent reaches immortality. The face of truth remains hidden behind a circle of gold. Unveil it, O God of light, that I who love the true may see. O life-giving Sun, offspring of the Lord of creation, solitary seer of heaven, spread thy light and withdraw thy blinding splendour, that I may behold thy radiant form. That spirit far away within thee is my inmost spirit. May life go to immortal life, and the body go to ashes. Om. O my soul, remember past strivings. Remember. O my soul, remember past strivings. Remember. By the path of good, lead us to final bliss. O fire divine, thou God who knowest all ways, deliver us from wandering evil. Prayers and adoration we offer unto thee. Kena Upanishad, Part 1. Who sends the mind to wander afar? Who first drives life to start on its journey? Who impels us to utter these words? Who is the spirit behind the eye and the ear? It is the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye, and the words, the mind of mind and the life of life. Those who follow wisdom pass beyond, and, on leaving this world, become immortal. There the eye goes not, nor words nor mind. We know not, we cannot understand. How he can be explained? He is above the known, and he is above the unknown. Thus have we heard from the ancient sages who explained this truth to us. What cannot be spoken with words, but that whereby words are spoken? Know that alone to be Brahman, the spirit, and not what people here adore. What cannot be thought with the mind, but that whereby the mind can think? Know that alone to be Brahman, the spirit, and not what people here adore. What cannot be seen with the eye, but that whereby the eye can see, know that alone to be Brahman, the spirit, and not what people hear adore. What cannot be heard with the ear, but that whereby the ear can hear, know that alone to be Brahman, the spirit, and not what people hear adore. What cannot be indrawn with breath, but that whereby breath is indrawn, know that alone to be Brahman, the spirit, and not what people hear adore. Part 2. Master, if you think I know well, little truth you know. You only perceive that appearance of Brahman that lies in the senses and is in you. Pursue your meditation. Disciple, I mean to know. I do not imagine I know him well, and yet I cannot say I know him not. Who of us knows this, knows him, and not who says, I know him not? He comes to the thought of those who know him beyond thought, not to those who imagine he can be attained by thought. He is unknown to the learned and known to the simple. He is known in the ecstasy of an awakening which opens the door of life eternal. By the self we obtain power, and by vision we obtain eternity. For a man who has known him, the light of truth shines. For one who has not known, there is darkness. The wise who have seen him in every being, on leaving this life, attain life immortal. Part 3. Once upon a time, Brahman, the Spirit Supreme, won a victory for the gods. And the gods thought in their pride, we alone attained this victory, ours alone is the glory. Brahman saw it, and appeared to them, but they knew him not. Who is that being that fills us with wonder? They cried. And they spoke to Agni, the god of fire. O God, all-knowing, go and see who is that being that fills us with wonder. Agni ran towards him, and Brahman asked, Who are you? I am the god of fire, he said, the god who knows all things. What power is in you? Asked Brahman. I can burn all things on earth. And Brahman placed a straw before him, saying, Burn this. The god of fire strove with all his power, but was unable to burn it. He then returned to the other gods and said, I could not find out who was that being that fills us with wonder. Then they spoke to Vayu, the god of the air. O Vayu, go and see who is that being that fills us with wonder. Vayu ran towards him, and Brahman asked, Who are you? I am Vayu, the god of the air, he said. Matarisvan, the air that moves in space. What power is in you? Asked Brahman. In a whirlwind I can carry away all there is on earth. And placed a straw before him, saying, Blow this away. The god of the air strove with all his power, but was unable to move it. He returned to the other gods and said, I could not find out who was that being that fills us with wonder. Then the gods spoke to Indra, the god of thunder. O giver of earthly goods, go and see who is that being that fills us with wonder. And Indra ran toward Brahman, the Spirit Supreme. But he disappeared. Then in the same region of the sky the god saw a lady of radiant beauty. She was Uma, divine wisdom, the daughter of the mountains of snow. Who is that being that fills us with wonder? He asked. Part 4. He is Brahman, the Spirit Supreme, she answered. Rejoice in him, since through him you attained the glory of victory. And the gods Agni, Vayu, and Indra excelled the other gods, for they were the first that came near Brahman, and they first knew he was the Spirit Supreme. And thus Indra, the god of thunder, excelled all other gods, for he came nearest to Brahman, and he first knew that he was the Spirit Supreme. Concerning whom it is said, "He is seen in nature in the wonder of a flash of lightning. He comes to the soul in the wonder of a flash of vision." His name is Tadvanam, which translated means the end of love-longing. As Tadvanam, he should have adoration. All beings will love such a lover of the Lord. Master: You asked me to explain the Upanishad, the sacred wisdom. The Upanishad has been explained to you. In truth, I have been telling you the sacred teaching concerning Brahman. Katha Upanishad, Part 1. Vajrasava gave away all his possessions at a sacrifice, but it was out of a desire for heaven. He had a son called Nachiketas, who, although he was only a boy, had a vision of faith when the offerings were given, and thus he thought, "This poor offering of cows that are too old to give milk, and too weak to eat grass or drink water, must lead to a world of sorrow." And he thought of offering himself, and said to his father, "Father, to whom will you give me?" He asked once, and twice, and 3 times. And then his father answered in anger, "I will give you to death." Nachiketas: At the head of many I go, and I go in the midst of many. What may be the work of death that today must be done through me? Remember how the men of old passed away, and how those of days to come will also pass away. A mortal ripens like corn, and like corn he is born again. Nachiketas had to wait 3 nights without food in the abode of Yama, the god of death. A voice: As the spirit of fire, a Brahmin comes to a house. Bring the offering of water, O god of death. How unwise is the man who does not give hospitality to a Brahmin. He loses his future hopes, his past merits, his present possessions, his sons, and his all. Death: Since you have come as a sacred guest to my abode, and you have had no hospitality for 3 nights, choose then 3 boons. Nachiketas: May my father's anger be appeased, and may he remember me and welcome me when I return to him. Let this be my first boon. Death: By my power your father will remember you and love you as before, and when he sees you free from the jaws of death, sweet will be his sleep at night. Nachiketas: There is no fear in heaven, old age and death are not there. The good, beyond both, rejoice in heaven, beyond hunger and thirst and sorrow. And those in heaven attain immortality. You know, O death, that sacred fire which leads to heaven. Explain it to me, since I have faith. Be this my second boon. Death. I know, Nachiketas, that sacred fire which leads to heaven. Listen. That fire which is the means of attaining the infinite worlds, and is also their foundation, is hidden in the sacred place of the heart. And Death told him of the fire of creation, the beginning of the worlds, and of the altar of the fire sacrifice, of how many bricks it should be built, and how they should be placed. Nachiketas repeated the teaching. Death was pleased, and went on, A further boon I give you today. This fire of sacrifice shall be known by your name. Take also from me this chain of many forms. One who lights 3 times this sacred fire, and attains union with the 3, and performs the 3 holy actions, passes beyond life and death, for then he knows the God of fire, the God who knows all things, and through knowledge and adoration he attains the peace supreme. He who, knowing the 3, builds up the altar of fire sacrifice, and performs 3 times the sacrifice of Nachiketas, casts off the bond